If there was a VIP event for celebrities who lost it all, then these 6 stars will have had a direct ticket. Supplying the soundtrack will be Magic's Enga, who was once at the top of Kenya's music scene, only to find himself crying for help just a few years later. His rise and fall were like his beats, bold, loud, and sometimes a big mess. At his peak, Magix was known as the beat king of Africa, producing viral tracks like Dundaing, Watoto na Pombe, and popular gengeton hits. But behind the hits, a storm was brewing. It is always said, make your choices wisely. During his peak, Enga didn't bother minding his choices. He struggled with addiction and made questionable decisions, which led him to burn bridges with collaborators and clients.
Alikuwa na madeni na madharau. Hii madharau alikuwa anaonyesha upcoming artist.
Okay.
Unapata Magic Enga anakuambia kuja studio shoot na mna agree fee X amount of money. Kisha agree X amount of money, kuja studio, Magic anapigia simu na msichana. Magic anakuacha hapo.
Despite claiming that some artists took advantage of him, he also played a fair share of ignoring young upcoming artists who begged for studio sessions from him. But perhaps the most heartbreaking element of Magic's fall was his mental health. The man who once ruled the airwaves started losing his mind. In 2021, Magic's Enga posted a cryptic message about possibly leaving, which read, "I am going to miss everyone." It seemed that Magic's Enga had predicted his own downfall long before it unfolded. The situation became worse when his studio was shut down due to unpaid rent. With no income and a new baby to support, Magix found himself facing an entirely different kind of life and ended up homeless. Magic's Enga is one of the biggest downfalls in Kenyan music, while Swale Mdoe will forever be remembered for his move to sell a kidney to get out of debt. Swale had been a trusted news anchor for over 30 years as the calm face of Citizen TV's Swahili news. But behind the screen, things were not good. He had loans which were piling up, and eventually he was forced to admit publicly that he was broke. But he didn't stop there. In a desperate move to solve his financial problems, Swale shocked everyone with a crazy plan. He was willing to sell one of his kidneys for 2.5 million Kenya shillings, and his justification was that he would rather sell an organ than to do something illegal. That comment grabbed everyone's attention, but not in the way you'd hope. Then what came to be even a bigger surprise is he compared his financial situation to that of Kenyan government, saying, "If the government is broke, why should anyone be surprised that I'm broke?" It turns out that, at first, Swale was not willing to set up a pay bill for donations because of pride and fear of being judged. He believed that asking for direct financial help from the public would undermine his dignity and could be perceived as begging. Also, he was concerned about the stigma associated with the financial struggles and feared that a pay bill might invite public scrutiny. Many couldn't believe how things had gotten so bad for someone so prominent, to a point that his Mercedes-Benz had already been repossessed. We might say Swale's financial crisis was due to his personal choice, but Othuol had a different story. Once a vibrant figure in the Kenyan comedy scene, his life spiraled downwards due to a series of health struggles, financial mismanagement, and the unforgiving nature of the comedy industry that often leaves its stars struggling.
Can you imagine you're sick and you need to pay your rent, and again you need to eat well. In fact, you need to eat. And you don't have that money. It turns you to be a beggar, my friend.
Othuol, whose real name was Ben Morris Onyango, was not just a name. He was a storyteller who turned everyday life into humor. But his battle with tuberculosis began in early 2020, followed by the revelation of a brain tumor. These health issues didn't just steal his energy. They robbed him of his ability to work, leaving him unable to perform and draining his pockets at a time when he needed it the most. Being on hospital bed became his daily routine as he fought his way through TB, each medical bill stacking higher than the last. He openly shared that his illness emptied his pockets, revealing the tough truth behind the comedy industry. Support from Churchill Show and community fundraising efforts raised 560,000 Kenya shillings, which provided some relief. Othuol's story became a reflection of the Kenyan comedy industry at large. Many comedians struggle with irregular income and the lack of strong support system, leaving them at risk. The pressure of fame and the dangers of drug abuse made Othuol's challenge worse. On October 11, 2020, Othuol's death hit hard throughout the comedy industry, highlighting not only his personal struggles but also the bigger issues that affect artists in Kenya. Bothwell will forever live in our hearts, but David the student has even more story to tell. David the student faced a lot of challenges, including getting called the N-word by a white man while working as a taxi driver in the US, failing in auditions for the America's Got Talent, and later on conning fellow Kenyans living in the US. David's career as a comedian at Churchill was going just well, with David killing it with every performance on stage. Everyone loved him. I also personally liked his jokes.
You know guys from Rift Valley.
David, however, decided to go for greener pastures in the US. There, he worked as a taxi driver for a taxi company called Lyft. David one day went to pick a couple from a hotel and drive them to their home. However, he didn't know that this very night will see him getting interviewed on TV and having his story broadcasted even by big news outlets like Al Jazeera.
Hold on, you're just a stupid idiot.
This is the confrontation caught on camera by Lyft driver David Kengogo, his passenger repeatedly using the N-word after refusing to wear a mask during the ride.
You notice Sam? Do you notice
David noticed that the male passenger had put his mask down, so he politely asked him to put back on his mask, but the man didn't like this. He started directing racial insults to David.
You kindly put on your mask. Just said, no N-word. I am not gonna do it. You take me
David
home.
later on decided to audition for America's Got Talent show, but he never made the cut to any live shows. When life got hard for him, David made up stories about his family members being sick and that he needed money to help them. One allegation claims that David made up a story about his father battling cancer. This forced many victims of David to come forward and complain about how David is conning them. David himself had to admit to these claims. David later on moved back to Kenya. When he got to Kenya, he found Omosh begging the public for money and at least a job.
I've lost 10 kgs.
Omosh, the beloved actor at the popular TV show Tahidi High, admitted that he was getting evicted out of his house due to rent arrears over 100,000 Kenya shillings. He said that once the show was stopped in 2020, and together with the COVID pandemic, he searched for jobs but couldn't find any.
So ushaikaza peke yako kwa barabara unatembea unalia. That's what I do. Natoka kwa nyumba nang'ara na kuna malenda. Natembea tu kwa barabara nikilia. Unaangalia ni house rent. An year sijawahi lipa. Unaangalia ni udi watoi wanadai. Sina anything ya kupatia. Sina job atinezaenda mahali.
Omosh added that he didn't want to seek for help from his relatives because his relatives already had their own problems. He pleaded with Kenyans to support him with whatever they had. He even asked for whatever job was available, even if the job was paying 200 Kenyan shillings per day.
I have nothing. I have no job.
He just wanted to provide for his family. There were claims that Omosh was alcoholic, but he denied these claims, saying that he had reformed and he had been taken for a 3-month rehabilitation to overcome his alcoholism. Sure enough, Omosh got his wishes granted. He got approximately 1 million Kenya shillings in donation and was gifted a brand new house. But to everyone's surprise, Omosh still came out to the public yet again asking people to help him get a camera, tripod, lights, and a microphone. He added that he had used all the money raised to settle pending debts.
Kwani hizo bado zote zilitoka Omosh hazikufanya kitu? Zikununua hata kavita, hata kabiraji.
Dogani. Sasa nakwambia bibi kuna tutasema walipledge madona hakuna kitu wali.
Hebu ongeleshe sasa hivi.
Ali mazi dadi nakwambia tu moja. Kama ulisema tu yenyewe mazi utanisukumia kitu. Kwani kaliendaje mazi? Bado unategea tu.
Unaweza kulipata kama how much hivi?
Okay, mimi kusema tu kweli. Less than an M.
Less than an M.
This, however, was met with mixed reactions. One funny comment said, "This time round, someone should come through to adopt Omosh." Another said, "He opened a YouTube channel account which is not doing that bad. He can get something from there as an option, or he doesn't know YouTube in Alipa." Just recently, Omosh bounced back and bought an Audi. Ugali Man, however, found it difficult to maintain his relevance barely a year after fame.
Yeah. Then unatoboa hapo, chota supu. Chota supu. Push.
Ugali Man, whose real name is Charles Odongo, gained popularity through social media platforms where he showcased his impressive ability to consume large quantities of ugali. His videos were so impressive. Many memes were made out of these videos, leading to a rapid increase in followers and public attention. Even Diamond himself acknowledged Ugali Man. This initial fame brought him opportunities for sponsorships and collaborations as brands sought to capitalize on his viral status. He landed a lucrative deal with Odibets, becoming their brand ambassador. However, just like any trending memes, Ugali Man went off the radar just like that. Nowadays, he's making cooking videos on his YouTube channel. He opened up a gym and he's just living his normal life.